Does my wife love me? For signs Sheikh Hamdan Fazza told. Feeling like your marriage has been rockier than usual? Have the fights started to become more serious than they once were? And now you're wondering, does my wife really love me? Look, it's a tough situation to deal with. When the woman you've chosen to spend your life with treats you differently, in a negative way, it can be soul-destroying. After all, women are highly emotional and powerful creatures, and when you're on the wrong side of that, it can feel like hell. Sheikh say, but don't worry, many of us have been there before. The good news? Once you learn about female psychology and female emotions, you'll have an easier time working out if your wife still loves you and what you can do about it. So in this article, we're going to explore the surefire signs that your wife might have fallen out of love with you. We'll also talk about what you can do to regain her love, if that's the case. We have a lot to cover, so let's get started. Sheikh told 4 signs your wife doesn't love you anymore. 1. She's never on your side. Partners are supposed to have each other's backs, even when it doesn't seem like the best thing to do. And your wife might have been your best sidekick before, always ready to step in whenever you got into a disagreement, a fight, or anything else at all. But these days, when your back's against the wall, and it feels like the whole world's against you, your wife is nowhere to be found. Not only is she not on your side, but she sometimes seems to be rooting for the other team. Your wife is supposed to be with you through thick and thin, as the wedding vows go. But when she stops loving you, she also stops caring about you unconditionally. And she's more than ready to see you get put down, even if she doesn't have the guts, yet, to do it herself. 2. Her threats are getting worse. Fights are normal in a relationship. There will always be arguments and bickering, especially when you're married, and the honeymoon phase is long over. And every now and then, hopefully once in a blue moon, you might exchange more serious threats, like threatening the end of the relationship, a divorce, or something else. But in your heart you knew that threats like those were never truly serious. However, with the threats these days, you really aren't so sure anymore. Not only are the threats becoming more frequent, making appearances in the type of small fights that used to be meaningless, but they're also becoming more detailed and elaborate. Not only does she threaten divorce, but she makes threats over what she'll do to you, how she'll do it, and how happy she'll be to finally be rid of you. When this starts happening, it means she's really thought about it long and hard, and these thoughts aren't just coming out as a knee-jerk reaction, but as a way to finally let you know what she's been thinking. 3. She doesn't put up with your family anymore. We don't always have the best relationships with our in-laws. While the dream reality is that your parents love your partner, and her parents love you, that's rarely ever truly the case. In many cases, you or your partner have to take some punches from the other person's parents. And we let this happen just so that we can keep the peace, because there's nothing more important than preserving the sanctity and happiness of the marriage. No matter how far your parents or other relatives might go, your wife has always been willing to just smile it off. But these days, she really couldn't care less about putting up with your family's passive-aggressive tendencies. She snaps back and gives them her peace of mind, and any thought of peace flew out the window long ago. She's finally at the end of her rope, and she knows that this might be the last time, or close to the last time, that she'll ever have to deal with them again. 4. She stopped thinking about when she doesn't need to. One major indicator of love is when you think about someone even when they're not around. You think about what they may be doing, whether they've eaten or not, whether they need you for anything at all, or how they might be feeling. This is why a hallmark of most strong relationships is a couple texting or messaging each other randomly throughout the day. And your wife used to love doing this with you, catching up with you at random points throughout the day, asking about work, reminding you about this or that, and so on. But now you can't even remember the last time she checked in on you unprompted. You're not in her mind anymore whenever she doesn't need to think about you, and she's more than happy to go through an entire day without thinking or caring about your needs.